Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening in our Online Success Series webinar. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Going to let a few of you get on to the Zoom. So give us about a minute or two and we'll be right back with you. We're just going to give it one more minute and we will start the webinar shortly. Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday Junior, pre-Friday, happy Thursday, however you'd like to see it. My name is Janessa Guzman, and I welcome you to the Fall 23 Online Success Series, Funding Your Future, your guide to financial aid and scholarships. I'm here with my co-hosts, Timothy Robinson and Joyce Garcia. We're going to talk a lot about the different resources available to you here to fund your education. We'll leave some space for some questions and answers at the end. But before we do that, want to just lay down a little bit of housekeeping rules. First thing is that we are recording this webinar, so it will be sent to you shortly, the webinar and the slides. If you are here for extra credit as well, you will get credit through your Panther Connect. So just check that give it a couple days after the webinar is over so that you can see that updated. We do have the Q&A feature below. We have a wonderful team working behind the scenes to answer any questions that you may have. So please feel free to use the Q&A. Just keep in mind, it is public. Everybody can see it. So if you do have sensitive or more personal questions, I ask that you reserve that for your one-on-one with your success coaches, or you can either email us after as well. And you'll get a survey at the end of the webinar, short, sweet, very to the point, 1 minute max. It's to help us get to know you better and what kind of webinars you want to see in the future. So with that being said, I'm going to kick it off to my co-host, Tim, who's going to talk a little bit about what a success coach is and what we do here.
Great. Thank you, Janessa, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight, and it's my pleasure to co-host this event with my colleagues Janessa and Joyce to discuss one of the kind of most requested topics that we get from students, which is finances or how to pay for your education. So first, a little background about who we are and what we do. As your FIU Online Success Coach team, you can kind of think of us overall as an added layer of support for you as a fully online student throughout your educational journey at FIU Online. More specifically, our support services kind of cohere around 4 key areas, which are provided here in this slide. So individualized guidance. At FIU Online, every fully online student is assigned their an online success coach with whom to collaborate one-on-one toward developing basically the knowledge, skills, and beliefs to succeed in school, but also beyond. Also, resource navigation, along with our holistic approach to education, personalized guidance, we do serve as a point of contact between you and the university, and we can connect you to different resources and services that are available to you as an FIU student, and that will kind of ultimately help you thrive during your time with us. Some of these may include tutoring support, career services, student health and wellness offerings, ensuring you basically take the advantage of all the opportunities that are afforded to you. Third, we have goal setting. Our success coaches discuss with you what your goals are, big or small, helping you talk through and kind of refine them by breaking them into clear, actionable steps that will help you get to the desired outcome that you want. And finally, motivation and accountability. We offer motivation and accountability through regular check-ins throughout the semester, monitoring your progress towards achieving your goals, and providing essential support to help ensure you kind of stay on track toward a path for completing your degree and graduation. And next, I'd like you to meet our team. So the next few slides contains the name and contact information for all of our success coaches. So we have Janessa, Jackie, and Ioana here. And I did want to mention that everyone will receive a copy of this presentation afterwards. So don't feel like you have to write down everything. You will have this available to you afterwards. But we have Janessa, Jackie, Ioana. Following, we have Nahum, Sarah, and Ellie. And below that are their email address and their areas of study that they kind of focus on with their student populations. And finally, we have myself, Tim, Stephanie, and Natalie. And finally, I wanted to address, why do we talk about finances with our students? Why are you encouraged to have this discussion? Finances frequently do play a key role in a student's ability to succeed in college and complete their degree. And it's often, I feel, useful to bring up a topic of finances to get a sense of how the student is taking the next steps with maybe financial aid, as well as how they manage their personal finances. So just starting a dialogue about finances can help ensure students' financial stability and alleviate some stress. It's been shown that students who struggle with financial instability or burdensome debt may experience certain heightened levels of stress and anxiety. So this can lead to decreased focus, motivation, and that can kind of play out in their classes that they're taking. So by addressing financial concerns, students can alleviate some of that stress and create a more conducive environment for learning and academic success. So as success coaches, we also connect you to resources and support services that are available to you as an FIU Online student that may best address any source of concern. So adequate finances do enable students to access some resources like textbook, like affordability for textbooks, course materials, and certain technologies, which is extremely important for pursuing an online degree. They can also afford you to take advantage of support services like tutoring, counseling, and academic advising. And these do play a role in helping you excel academically. Next, we also try to help you anticipate and navigate any obstacles that you see in your path toward completing your degree and graduation. So sometimes, I mean, it's a very real concern. Financial instability can sometimes force students to maybe drop out of a class, take off a semester or two, and it can help, kind of create barriers for getting you along that path towards completion. So by addressing some of these, we hope to ensure that you are enrolled when you can, and that you are best set up for academic and professional success. And that goes along with our last point here about career and post-career success. So a strong financial foundation can set students up for this type of better future and boost their employability. Moreover, reduced student loan debt can improve your financial prospects after graduation, reducing that sort of burden of student loan repayment and enhancing your overall financial well-being. And sort of in conclusion, finances are a crucial component of student success, I think, because they, one, directly impact a student's ability to focus on their studies, two, access necessary resources, persist through their academic journey, and finally, secure a successful career after graduation. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Joyce, who is going to speak to us about financial aid. Janessa.
No worries. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, before Joyce jumps in, I definitely want to just touch upon a couple resources. Joyce is going to go into the bread and butter of financial aid, but there's a couple of other resources I'd like to mention before we get into that, because we can talk about all these great resources, but there is a program here at FIU that helps support us managing our finances, which is a financial wellness program. It really is a program that helps us become financially healthy or even maintain that healthy financial lifestyle if we are already on that road. It has the program has many different elements. They have a workshop, they have the iGrad platform that I will go into in a little bit. You can make an appointment with a financial wellness coach and talk one-on-one. And they also collaborate with the Office of Scholarships, which both me and Joyce will get into a little bit. Next slide. So the main platform I want to speak to you about is called iGrad. It really is a all financial literacy platform. It helps with so many things, monthly saving challenges, your budgeting tool. I personally did it myself. It was fabulous. Kind of told me to stop going to Target every week so I can save a little bit of money. So I recommend that you check it out. But one of the biggest components that I want to point out is their scholarship search. Now, this is for external scholarships. And what's so great about it is that it has a filter that you can filter to you, according to you as a student. So versus digging through all these scholarships that you may or may not be eligible for, you put the filters in and it brings back everything that you actually can apply to, which is a fantastic feature. So when you have some time, I definitely recommend that you check it out, and you can always call the financial wellness program and they can talk a little bit more about iGrad. Next slide. I'll talk a little bit about Office of Scholarships. I know Joyce is going to go into it, but they definitely help students find and apply for national and university-based scholarships. You're talking merit-based, departmental, prestigious, and even non-FIU scholarships. You can visit scholarships.fiu.edu to find out more information. But what's great about them is you can actually make an appointment with them. They can help you search through their database as well as strengthen your application so that you have a better chance and a better shot at receiving some more money. Next slide. And just some tips and tricks before I pass it on to Joyce, who's going to talk a lot about financial aid and all that beautiful stuff. What are some things that you can do now to prepare for all these different scholarships you'll be applying to and whatnot? Well, first thing is making your connections. A lot of applications are going to require letters of recommendation. So start making those connections with your professors, your supervisors, co-workers, and make them aware that you are adding them as a recommender, and deadlines, which is very important. You can also tailor your application, which is a big thing. When you're applying to so many different applications, many of us, and I say us because from experience, you submit blanket essays of why you need the scholarship. Now, a lot of these scholarships are going to have specific prompts that they want you answered. So just make sure you take the time to tailor your application, tailor those essays so that you hit the prompt of the application, so you have a better shot at receiving it. And then building your resume. Yes, academics is extremely important, but a lot of places are also looking for diverse skills. So whether that is leadership skills, extracurricular activities, be sure to stand out. So make sure you build your resume so that that's just one more thing you can add to your application so you have a better shot. Next slide. Now I'm going to kick it off to Joyce, who has such wealth of knowledge. I'm so excited to hear about all the different things that are available here to you financially by financial aid. Joyce, take it away.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction to Timothy and Janessa. As they have already mentioned, my name is Joyce. I am a financial aid representative with the FIU Online Department, and I am here tonight to provide you general information about financial aid and important expectations about the process. So let's go ahead and get started. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I know that some of you might already be familiarized with what financial aid is, but for some others, this might be their first semester. This may be their first time hearing about it. So I want to start by introducing you to what financial aid is. Financial aid consists of funds provided to students and families in order to help you pay for your college expenses. This includes the cost of attendance for any college or university that you will be attending to. In this case, will be FIU. Now, the aid you receive can be classified into different categories. So you can receive grants, you can receive work study, and you can receive loans. Now, it is important to note that depending on your degree, depending on how many years have you been studying, and depending on what you qualify for, you might not receive all three of these categories. If, for example, you're doing a master's degree, you might only qualify for loans. If you're a student who is starting their bachelor's degree, then you might see you qualify for all three of these categories. So financial aid is calculated on a need basis. So that is important for you to keep in mind. It's also important that you remember that financial aid is calculated and provided to students on an availability basis. So the amount that you receive for aid every semester might differ. Next slide, please. Now, first, we need to talk about how can you apply for financial aid. It is very important to know that the financial aid application can be found on the FAFSA.gov website, and it is a free application. So if you know you qualify for financial aid, it's not going to hurt you in any way that you go ahead and apply for FAFSA, even though you're not going to use it or even though you don't know how much you might qualify for. It is important that you submit the application because without the application, the financial aid department won't be able to tell you exactly what is that you qualify for and how much money can you get every semester in order to cover for your studies. So as you can see here on the screen, some important aspects of applying for financial aid include for you to include the school code that you're attending to. In this case, you will need to include Florida International University as your desired institution. That way, our financial aid office can receive your application, process it, and issue an award letter for you. Now, keep in mind that the financial aid is offered on an academic year basis, so you need to submit the free FAFSA application every academic year. For example, if you're a student who has started here on fall 2023, or you are going to have your first semester in spring, then the financial application that pertains to you will be the 2023-2024 FAFSA application. Now, moving on for the 2023-2024 FAFSA application, which covers for fall 2023, spring 2024, and summer 2024, you need to look out for the 2024-2025 application, as this will cover for the next academic year, which will be fall 2024, spring 2025, and summer 2025. I know this is a lot of numbers. It can be confusing at times, but it is important that you also keep an open communication with the financial aid team within the school, because they will help clarify for you what pending items do you have that might be preventing your aid from disbursing, or what pending items you have that might be preventing your FAFSA application from processing. Now, some students might be selected for verification. So it is important that after you submit the FAFSA application, you keep an eye on your student portal specifically in your to-do list items, because any verification documents that the financial aid department needs, they will be posted there for you to submit. You can either do it through your student portal or through the FAFSA.gov website, which is going to ask you to create an FSA ID once you start the application, and you will use that information to log in case you have to make any corrections or you need to upload any verification documents. It is important to keep in mind that even though the financial aid final deadline for the academic year is not until June of the next year, the priority deadline for submitting your FAFSA application for the new academic year is going to be December 1st. So the earlier you apply for financial aid, the more possibility you have to receive more funding for that academic year. So make sure that you are submitting your FAFSA application early as soon as it opens in October 1st. Next slide, please. Now, other important aspects about the financial aid application, as I already mentioned, after you submit the FAFSA application, even though you are going to submit it on an external website, all the pending items that you have on your financial aid application will connect to your student portal. So make sure that you're keeping an eye on the to-do list item. And also when you're filling out the application, you use the data retrieval tool if you qualify for it or if you're eligible for it, because this will allow you to have accurate information about your previous year taxes. And this will allow for the financial aid office to be able to create more accurate award letters. Keep in mind that after you submit the financial aid application, it can take 7 to 10 business days for our department to receive it. So once you submit the application, allow some time before you contact us to make sure that everything was received and processed, because we won't receive your application until 7 to 10 business days after submitted. After your application has been processed and any verification documents, if applicable, have been submitted, then you will be issued an award letter that will be mailed to you. Make sure that the email that you're inputting when you start the FAFSA application is correct and you have access to, because any important communications from FIU as well as from the financial aid application will be sent there. Next slide, please. Now, let's go a little more into detail about the types of financial aid that you might be able to receive. First, I want to talk about grants. Grants are calculated on a need base, and this is on a case-by-case basis. So every student need is different. So therefore, you're going to see that if you receive aid, it might not be the same as one of your friends every semester. So this is calculated on a need base, and grants and scholarships are considered free money. So this is money that you do not have to pay back to the government and is considered gift aid. Now, grants can be classified on 3 categories as well. They can be federal, they can be state, and they can be institutional. As you can see on the screen, we have some of the most popular grants that are offered to students every semester. Again, you might not qualify for all of them. Grants will be offered to you depending on what you qualify for, given the information that you have already submitted within your FAFSA application. Next slide, please. Here on the screen, I have also included some of the institutional grants that we offer through FIU. So some of the names that you will see in your award letter might include the Leverage Grant, the FIU Opportunity Grant, the University Grant, Differential Grant, Upper Division Grant, and the Graduate Need Grant if you're cursing a graduate program. Again, remember that grants are offered on a need base as well as on an availability basis. So for example, one of the most popular grants we have at FIU is the FIU Opportunity Grant, the University Grant, and also you will see that we have the Pell Grant on a federal level. These are tied to how many credits you enroll per semester and your academic standing. So also keep an eye on how many credits you are enrolling. This is something that you can work with your advisor. The more credits you enroll per semester, whether you are a part-time or full-time student, that is also going to help determine how much money can you receive every semester. Again, it's on an availability basis, so the amount that you receive one semester might differ from one semester to the other, even though you are enrolling the same amount of credits. So make sure to keep that in mind. And if you want to know more information about the grants that we offer at the FIU level, you can always visit our one-stop website. You will find the link here on the screen. And like they mentioned before, this presentation will be available for you on a future date. So you can go back and reference the links as well as the contact information that we provide tonight. Next slide, please. Another type of financial aid that you can receive every semester will be loans. Now, it is important that you understand that loans are self-help aid, and loans you do have to repay back. So this is money that the government is lending you in order to cover for your cost of attendance, but this is not going to be gift money. So when you're accepting a loan, make sure that you are accepting only what you need, and you're not accepting more than you need for that specific semester, because this is money that you have to repay back, and this is money that occurs interest. So the amount that you accept every semester is not going to be the same as the total amount that you will have to repay, because interest will be added to that amount at the end of your degree. So just make sure to keep that in mind. That's why we recommend that you only accept what you necessarily or strictly need for that semester. Loans can be classified as well under the federal, institutional, and private level. So just make sure that when you receive your award offer, you log into your FIU portal. And before accepting any aid, this includes grants as well, you are reviewing the requirements of the loans, because loans are tied to your enrollment. So you need to enroll in at least half time or 6 credits every semester in order for your loans to disperse. So keep that in mind as well. Next slide. Now, like I mentioned, student loans do occur interest. There are different types of loans. So you have subsidized loan, subsidized loans, and then Parent Plus. Now, between subsidized and subsidized, the interest rate will be the same, but subsidized loans are need-based. So subsidized loans are loans that do not occur interest while you are in school, meaning that while you're starting your master's degree or your bachelor's degree, the interest will not occur into the amount that you borrow. The interest will start occurring after you have graduated from the program. In exchange, subsidized loans do occur interest while you are in school. So that's the very important aspects about loans that I want you to keep in mind, because this is going to make a difference after you graduate. When you start repaying your loans, you're going to see that this is going to create an impact, and this is going to increase the total amount that you have to repay. So keep that in mind. Now, Parent Plus loans are based on credit worthiness, and these are loans that can be requested from parents on behalf of their students in order to help them pay for their cost of attendance. This type of loans do have a higher rate of interest, so make sure to keep that in mind as well if this is something that you're interested in taking from your award letters once offered. Next slide, please. Now that we're talking about loans, I also wanted to go over the limits. How much money can you be offered every semester in loans? Remember, this is only in loans. If you qualify for grants, then there's going to be more money added to this total amount. But in terms of loans, I have put together a chart in order for you to visualize what is that you qualify for, or that you could potentially qualify for every semester. So this can be classified between dependent and independent student. Again, the amount that you qualify for financial aid every semester and every academic year will be tied as well to this, whether you are a dependent student, whether you are an independent student. As you can see, we do have both type of loans, subsidized and subsidized, and then the total amount that you can borrow every semester between the two is different. So for example, for a junior or senior students who are almost done with their career, or they are on the 3rd year about to graduate, the max amount that you can borrow for a subsidized loan per semester, it's going to be $2,000, $750. Now that will decrease depending on the type of student you are. So are you a sophomore, you're in your 2nd year, or you are a freshman, you're just starting your college career, and this is the total amount that you may borrow for a subsidized loan every semester. Now on the subsidized side, you're going to see that for both dependent and independent students, the amount for all 3 freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors is going to be the same. So for dependent students, the max amount that you can borrow is $1,000 per semester. For independent students, it's going to be $3,000. So just keep that in mind when you are budgeting to pay for your classes every semester, if you are thinking about accepting loans from your award letter. Next slide, please.
All right, so we're going to give Joyce a quick minute because I know that was a lot of information and just wanted to ask a really, fun question. We're talking a lot about money here. So if you had an unlimited budget, what is the first thing you would purchase or do? I ask you to write your answers in our chat. Remember, it's being recorded, so let's keep it PG. If you were here earlier, you'd know my first thing would be to go to Target every day for like 3 or 4 hours. So go ahead and put a couple of options there. Would love to see what you would do with an unlimited budget. Oh, I'd travel the world. Yeah, I'd love to go to Ireland, to be honest. So maybe I'd do that after Target. What else? Travel. Yes, definitely travel. It looks like it's number one for sure. Okay, business food related, maybe a cafe. Pay off my debt. I'm with you on that one. Yeah, maybe that should take priority versus Target, right? I agree with you. Awesome. All right, Joyce, if you are ready, we're ready for you. I know there's a lot more to come, so go ahead and take it away.
Yes, thank you so much for that break, Janessa. So let's go ahead and continue with financial aid information. If you do have any questions, remember to drop it on the Q&A, and I'm more than happy to answer them at the end of the presentation. We are halfway, guys. I hope you're staying with me. This is very important information, so just make sure to continue to pay attention because this will help you moving forward in your academic career. So continuing on with the type of financial aids that you can receive, we now jump into scholarships. Now, like Janessa mentioned earlier today, there are two types of scholarships that you're going to see. We do have a website through FIU, which is Academic Works. And we do also have scholarships that will be offered to you through your financial aid. Scholarships offered through financial aid, again, are on an availability basis and they are merit-based. So they're going to be looking at your academic progress, your GPA, if you have good academic standing with your previous institutions or in the previous courses that you have taken. Scholarships, again, are on the private, state, and institutional level. So private scholarships are offered through foundation, businesses, churches, and these are limited scholarships, meaning that they can be offered to a limited amount of students. This is scholarship you will see that might also expire depending on the funding availability. Then on the state level, we have Florida Bright Futures, which is offered as well through financial aid, and institutional are the scholarships provided by FIU directly, which is the website I have mentioned a little bit before, Academic Works. Now, I want you to keep in mind, if you are an international student, the financial aid does have a specific criteria that needs to be met in order for you to be able to submit an application and qualify for. Unfortunately, international students do not qualify for financial aid, but make sure to keep an eye on the institutional scholarships offered through the Academic Works website at FIU, because there are scholarships there that you can take advantage of. Also, make sure to work with your academic units, your academic departments, because some departments do have a specific scholarships offered on a private level to those specific programs that you could be eligible for. So just keep that in mind in terms of financial aid. It does have a very strict criteria for those who qualify for it. Unfortunately, international students are not eligible to receive FAFSA, but you do have the scholarship option. So just make sure to check out that as well. Next slide, please. Now, some of the scholarships that you're going to see on the financial aid level are Merit Scholarship, Presidential Scholars, and Golden and Blue Achievement, as well as others that are listed on the screen. If you want more information about the scholarships, you can always visit our one-stop website as well. It has a lot of information, not only about financial aid, but as well as the scholarship availables. If you also do have any other questions about the scholarships available, you can contact our scholarship department. I have included their contact information on the screen, so you might find their phone as well as their email. Next slide. Awesome. So this is one slide that I do want you to pay a lot of attention at, because it contains important information, not only through the financial aid process, but important knowledge for you to have in order to understand better what are you signing up for in terms of financial aid or what you need to expect. So I wanted to add important terms that you're going to hear after you have started your financial aid process. After you complete the financial aid application, you will receive a student aid report, also known as SAR, and you're also going to be assigned an effective family contribution number, which is called EFC. Now, after you submit the financial aid application, it is important that you take a look at your SAR, your student aid report, because this will allow you to identify any mistakes that you might have made on your application of important information about, for example, parent information or address information, income information, which is necessary for you to be issue an award letter. So make sure to review your student aid report immediately after you submit the FAFSA application, because this will help you identify any mistakes. If you do see any mistakes, you can always go back to the FAFSA.gov website and correct them using your FSA ID to log in. Now, the effective family contribution will determine what types of financial aid you are eligible for. So if you have an EFC of 0, this is the lowest possible amount that you can receive, and it gives you the highest possible Pell Grant amount. Now, keep in mind that Pell Grant is also tied to enrollment. So even though your respective family contribution is 0, if you are enrolled half-time or less than half-time, that will impact the amount of money that you can receive every semester. You will receive the highest amount for Pell Grant if you are enrolling full-time, meaning 12 credits every semester. Pell Grant is adjusted based on enrollment. So if you enroll full-time one semester, but then half-time one semester, you will see the difference there as well. And then, as I mentioned earlier, when using the financial aid application, make sure you use the IRS data retrieval tool to give more accurate information about your taxes. And remember that all the FAFSA applications open every year in October 1st, and the priority deadline for you to submit the application is December 1st. Next slide, please. Now that you have completed your financial aid application, you have submitted all your documents, and now you have received an award letter. So what do I do here? How do I accept my aid? Well, you can do everything through your student portal. If you go to my FIU account, that will be pretty much the house that you will have here at FIU. In there, you can enroll for classes, you can complete your admission process, and you can also complete your financial aid next steps. So after you have been awarded financial aid, you can log into your student portal. Then you're going to search for the financial aid tile and make sure that on the top of the screen, there is a little bubble that has the 8-year for your application. So if you have previous financial aid applications, you make sure to select the current academic year under the 8-year bubble, because you want to accept the awards that are pertaining to your upcoming semester. So just make sure you're always in the correct 8-year. Before accepting any aids, make sure to review the eligibility requirements for each award, because you need to be aware whether you have an enrollment requirement or any specific requirements that that specific award has. You want to make sure you're aware of that, because if you do not meet the requirements, even though you have accepted your aid through your portal, it's not going to disperse. So you're not going to receive that money, even though you accepted. If you don't meet the requirements, it's not going to be available for you. So just make sure to keep that in mind. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of accepting aid, loans recipient should accept only the amount necessary that they need for that semester. Like I mentioned earlier, this is very important because this will impact how much money you have to repay after you graduate. So to accept or decline an individual award, you can select the box under accept or decline column that you will see in your student portal. And then just make sure that you are accepting or declining the entire award package. If you are accepting a loan and you see, for example, that you were offered $3,000 for that semester, but you only need 1,500, what you will need to do is accept through your student portal, and there is a form that we can provide for you in order to ask for your loan to be repackaged, meaning that it is reduced to the amount that you strictly need for it to be dispersed. So just make sure that if that's the case, you are following up with our financial aid team. That way we can assist you with the necessary steps. Next slide, please. Now, when receiving loans, it is important that after you accept it, there are also steps that you need to complete. So if you have accepted a loan on the bachelor's and master's degree level, if this is the first time you're accepting it within the year, then you will need to submit a master promissory note, also known as MPM. And this is something that you can do through your to-do list items, as well as the entrance counseling. So one of them is a form, one of them is a module that you have to complete through the FAFSA.gov or studentaid.gov website. And this is something that will hold back your financial aid. So after you accept the loans, if you go to your to-do list items, you're going to see that those two items are going to populate in there. So just make sure you're completed on a timely manner, because if you don't complete these two steps, then your loans are not going to disperse. Make sure to keep an eye on the deadlines for every semester, when classes start, when payments due. Loans usually disperse before classes start, about a week or so before. So just make sure you are completing these steps before classes start to make sure that your aid disperses on time. Next slide.
All right, Joyce, I'm going to give you one more quick break. I know we're almost done, but this is kind of an important one because we can talk about all this, but applying, right? And applying on time and applying early is kind of the most important thing. So while she gets a quick sip of water, based on the information provided, when does the new FAFSA application become available every year? No cheating, no Googling. Go ahead and put your answer in the chat. We'll give it about a minute and let's see who was paying attention. All right, we got a couple of months. Do we know what day? There we go. So Joyce, we have everybody knowing it's October and we have one October 1st. So can you tell us the date?
Yes, so you guys were very close. The actual day will be October 1st. So just make sure by October 1st, you're ready to submit your new FAFSA application. But they were very close, Janessa, so I'll take that.
We did have one. We had one, Marquietta Watson. She said October 1st. So great job.
Yes, congrats. Awesome. So now that we have taken care of that and we're making sure that you're still with me, we're almost there, guys, I promise. So last, I want to talk about refunds, something that is very important and something that I know students care about, because refunds are going to be the excess money that is going to be provided for you after the balance due for your tuition that given semester has been covered by your financial aid. So a student refund is the excess financial aid that you can receive, like I mentioned, after your aid has been dispersed and your outstanding balance for tuition has been already paid. Now, a refund is not going to be processed, meaning the refund is not going to be given to you if you have a hole in your account. So every semester, it is your job to make sure you are reviewing your to-do list items as well as your whole staff, because if you have a hole in your account, that refund is not going to be available for you. Now, keep in mind that refunds are processed by the student's financial office and not the financial aid office. So if you're having any type of issues with your refund, the first thing to do is make sure that you don't have any holes in your account. If you don't have any holes in your account, then the next step will be, as you see on the screen, to set up your direct deposit. Why is this important? Because refunds are only issued through direct deposit. So if you don't have an account already registered through your student portal, you're not going to receive your funds. So that's going to delay the process of you receiving a refund. If you do have these items of not having a home and having your direct deposit set up, and the payment deadline for that semester has already passed, and you know that you have excess money left from your financial aid and you still have not received it, then you can go ahead and contact the student financial office so they can take a look into your account and then can help you process your refund. Now, refunds are generally processed on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, so keep that in mind as well, that if we are on a bank holiday or if we are on a specific holiday for the university, your refund might take a little longer to be given to you than usual. Next slide, please. Very important, guys. So this is a slide I wanted to add because I understand that with all the awards that you receive and the entire process, it can be a little confusing. Every semester you see different amounts. At the same time, every semester you register for a different amount of credits. So it is important that you understand your tuition costs and financial aid. So if you register for classes and you know you're not going to register for more classes, then you need to make sure you're checking for your balance due, the total and final balance due on your account every semester after you have registered for all your classes. Because if the balance due in your account for tuition is larger than the financial aid that you were offered and that you have accepted, then you have a total due. So you have a balance to pay for the school, for your classes for that semester, and that payment needs to be done by the payment deadline that semester. So I know there was a question on the questions and answer field. I take a peek into it and I saw that somebody asked, when do grants disperse? So financial aid is dispersed on different times every semester. Like I mentioned earlier, loans are dispersed before classes start, about a week or so before, and grants are dispersed and available to you after the payment deadline, because the financial aid department will verify your enrollment for that semester, whether you have already enrolled for all the classes or you drop one class. So they need to verify that, and they do that by the payment deadline every semester, and that's when you will see your grants will be dispersed. So after you know how much money you receive through financial aid that semester, if you know you have a balance due, make sure to submit payment by the payment deadline for that balance. Do not pay the total of your tuition, because if you have already submitted a payment, then it might be a little complicated for you to get a refund after. Just make sure you're paying the balance difference that you have in your account after your financial aid gets dispersed. Now, if your tuition charges are less than the aid that you are receiving, then you will receive a refund. Again, make sure you're signing up for direct deposit. That way you don't have any issues when receiving that refund every semester. Next slide. For those using Florida Prepay, I know this is not the case for everybody, but this is a program that parents use in order to save money for their kids. So Florida Prepay will not cover usually the entire of your tuition costs. For some might, because it will depend on how many credits you enroll per semester. Your tuition every semester is not going to be the same, so just make sure to keep an eye on that. But for some, it might not cover the entire of your tuition costs, because the plans for Florida Prepay might be different. So just make sure you're keeping an eye on your tuition charges every semester if you're using Florida Prepay, to make sure you don't have any balance due. Now, in terms of Florida Prepay, you do not need to bring your car. The only thing you need to make sure you're doing is having your Social Security register with FIU. The Social Security needs to match the information that Florida Prepay has. So as soon as you have that, your Florida Prepay will automatically kick in every semester. Next slide. Lastly, a very important point that I wanted to touch on will be student confidentiality. So I know we have talked about The requirements for financial aid, we have talked about the information you have to provide. This is very sensitive information. Within the financial aid website, they do ask for your parent information, and sometimes you might need to ask them to go into the application and submit their information. I do know that some students also have assistance from family members or legal guardians through the admissions process and the financial aid process, but it's important that you know that under federal law, your student records and your student information is protected. Therefore, we cannot disclose any of your information to anybody that is not you. If you have a person who is helping you through the admissions process, or if you have a parent who is interested in knowing more about the process and you're okay with us disclosing information for them, then make sure that you're going into your FIU portal and you're signing up the FERPA form. The FERPA form is a delegated access form that will delegate access, certain access, not all the access, because only certain information can be released to the person that you designate within the form. So just make sure that if you are going to have somebody reaching out to the school on your behalf, you have a FERPA form on file, because otherwise we cannot disclose any of your personal information to anybody that is not you. Next slide. Awesome. So we have come to the end of the presentation. I know there are some questions on the question and answer field. So Janessa, I'm going to let you take over. Remember,
Yeah.
do not put any personal information as your Panther ID, social security number, anything that could relate directly to your personal information, because we want to protect that for you.
Yes, absolutely, Joyce. And I'm not gonna let you off the hook just yet. First, thank you so much. So much great information. And I can only imagine it's a lot to, for all of us to wrap our head around it. So while we're thinking about some questions that we can ask, there are some in the chat, and I'm gonna ask you, Joyce. One of the first questions we received was, if offered grants and loans, can you choose to use the grants first?
Yes, so that is a really good question. Grants are automatically accepted for you every semester. So when you go into the FIU, my FIU portal, you're gonna see the grants that you were offered. Those are automatically offered for you, so you don't really have to accept them. The only thing that you have to accept is loans, and you will do that through your student portal. But yes, you can pick and choose what you need to accept. If you're offered different grants, different loans every semester, but you don't want to use the loans, you can go ahead and decline them through the student portal. You're not obligated to accept those if you don't want to or you don't need them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. There's a couple more. One of them was answered, but I think it's really important. So I'm going to kind of say this one out loud. Somebody did ask, how do they get access to iGrad? And you can visit fiu.igrad.com using your FIU credentials. And of course, if you have questions or can't remember down the road, you can always reach out to your success coach. They'll guide you to where to go. We did have a question here about who should I contact if I have questions about my financial aid disbursement.
Yes, so they can go ahead and contact our financial aid team. I can put the email on the chat. That way everybody can have access to, or I'm not sure if any of the success coaches can go ahead and do so, so everybody can see it. It will be online, fa@fiu.edu. So just make sure that you are being very specific about your situation. We will also have access to check on your account with your student ID. So don't worry about that. We will check on it, and then we will let you know specifically what is that you need to do if something is pending.
Thank you. We do have another question. This may require a little bit of research in the back end, so maybe a question that we can take and answer maybe tomorrow. This specific student says that they have a bachelor from overseas. When they applied for financial aid, they were told that they would not be getting grants because of her degree. They would like a little bit of clarification on that. Is that something that there is a general answer maybe, or something a little more specific that they should speak to a financial aid representative?
Yes, so that's something that most likely they will need to take a look into it, because it was a degree from overseas. But one of the financial aid rules, per se, not necessarily a requirement, is that financial aid in terms of grants, they're only offered for your first bachelor's degree, or you have a limit of aid that you can receive for that first degree. After that, if you have any leftover money from your previously accepted grants, then that's something that you can apply or roll over to your next degree. But after that has been, after that runs out, then the only thing you can qualify will be loans. Also for students who have a bachelor's degree here from the US, if you're doing a second bachelor's degree, that will apply as well. You do not qualify for grants anymore. It will be only for loans. I believe that one of the grants or scholarships that do apply for that rolling over is Florida Bright Futures, but I know not all students qualify for that. So that's something that they will need to have the application on file, and they will need to take a look into it to see if they do have any other options besides loans.
Great, thank you so much for answering that. Yeah, it's a lot of information, and a lot of stuff sometimes can be very specific to you as a student. So any detailed questions that you may have, I definitely recommend that you reach out to financial aid. You can reach out to a success coach that can definitely guide you there. And we can talk about other resources if for whatever reason, you're not eligible for a grant because of the degree. There's other resources out there definitely that can assist. Okay. Great. Perfect. So we're going to give just a few more minutes, but while I do that, I definitely want to first thank everybody on here for attending today. We're going to be respectful of the time and make sure that we don't go over. Definitely thank you to my co-host, Tim, who spoke a bit about us as success coaches, and then Joyce, so much information. I thank you again so much for all the knowledge that you've given us today. There is a service that's placed in a survey, in the chat, as well as a Q&A. I know that some of us are having issues with the chat. So if you can't access it through there, check out the Q&A. There's a link to the survey, takes 1 minute tops. And we really, really do appreciate your feedback. Here's our contact information. It'll be sent to you, but you can take a screenshot. And while we wait for the next few questions, I'm going to go ahead and just say goodnight to everybody. If you don't have any questions, this is the end. And we'll just wait about a minute or two, okay? If not, have a beautiful night, everybody. All right, everyone. Thank you again so much for attending. Please be on the lookout for our next webinar in spring. Have a beautiful, beautiful night and take care.